In the bustling city of New York, Henry Lawson, a 48-year-old self-made millionaire, lived in a glass-walled penthouse towering over the streets below. From the outside, his life looked perfect: a success, wealth, influence, yet inside, he carried an emptiness no fortune could fill. 3 years had passed since his wife's death, and though time had dulled the sharpest edge of grief, it had left behind a hollowness in their home. His son Ethan, now 12, was growing quieter, retreating into himself. Henry believed he had to act, to fix this, as he had always fixed problems with money and decisions. Henry's solution was one only a man who lived in wealth's shadow could imagine. Instead of waiting for love or fate, he would choose a mother for Ethan as if he were arranging a business deal. He invited 5 women, rich, elegant, and socially powerful, to his penthouse for a weekend, presenting the situation as an opportunity. "Ethan will decide who will be his new mother," he announced. To him, it was practical, decisive. To the women, it was thrilling at the chance to become the wife of a millionaire and step into his glittering world. But for Ethan, it was suffocating. The women paraded through the mansion in sparkling gowns, their perfumes filling the air, their laughter too loud, their compliments rehearsed. They brought him gifts: gold watches, expensive sneakers, gadgets he hadn't even wanted. They promised vacations to Paris, private schools, and everything money could buy. Yet when Ethan looked into their eyes, he saw hunger, not affection. They wanted his father, his father's name, his father's empire, but not him. He felt like a prize being fought over, not a boy who missed his mother. Seeking escape from the charade, Ethan wandered the mansion's quieter halls one afternoon, eventually slipping into the kitchen. There, he found Sophie Miller, the 27-year-old maid who had quietly kept the household running for years. She was folding laundry, her hands rough from constant work, humming softly under her breath. Her plain uniform and unpolished presence were sharp contrast to the dazzling women upstairs. Sophie noticed him lingering at the door and greeted him with a warm, natural smile. She didn't try to impress him, didn't smother him with words. She simply offered him a cookie she had baked herself. The small gesture cut through the noise of pretended affection, reaching him in a way wealth never could. Over the next few days, Ethan began spending more time in the kitchen with Sophie rather than with the women competing for his choice. She treated him not like a millionaire's son but like a boy who needed to be seen, heard, and comforted. She told him stories about her childhood in Iowa, laughed with him over silly kitchen accidents, and listened quietly when he talked about his mother. Sophie never tried to take her place. She respected his grief. And without realizing it, Ethan had already made his decision. His heart chose not one of the glamorous guests, but the humble maid who gave him back his laughter. The weekend reached its grand finale, and Henry Lawson prepared to conclude what he believed would be a successful arrangement. The 5 wealthy women gathered in the glittering dining hall, their jewels reflecting the light of the chandelier, their confidence unshaken. Henry stood tall, with Ethan at his side, believing his son would make the right decision. Champagne glasses were raised in anticipation, and whispers of excitement passed between the guests. With a firm tone, Henry announced it was time for Ethan to choose. The air grew tense, each woman waiting for her name to be called as if destiny itself depended on it. Ethan's heart pounded as he stood before the room. The lavish gowns and perfectly painted smiles of the women blurred in his eyes, none of them holding the warmth he longed for. His voice wavered for a moment, but then strength surged from deep within him. Instead of pointing to any of the glamorous candidates, he turned his gaze toward the corner, where Sophie, the maid, carried a tray of dishes unnoticed. "I choose Sophie," he declared firmly. The room froze. Gasps erupted like cracks in glass. Disbelief spread across the women's faces as whispers turned to mocking laughter. One woman scoffed, her tone dripping with disdain, "The maid? Surely you jest." Another muttered bitterly about wasted time. Henry's face flushed crimson as he stared at his son. "Ethan, this isn't a game. You must take this seriously." But Ethan did not waver. His small frame straightened, and his voice rang with more authority than his years. "I am serious. They care about your money, not me. Sophie cares about me. She listens. She makes me feel like I matter. That's what Mom did, and that's what I need." His words cut through the pretenses of wealth like a blade through silk. Sophie stood frozen, the tray in her hands trembling. She had never imagined herself in the spotlight, let alone chosen for something so profound. On a broken bar she whispered softly, shaking her head. "I'm just the maid." But Ethan crossed the room, took her hand gently, and looked up at her with earnest eyes. "You're not just the maid. You're the one who makes this house feel alive. You're the only one who makes it feel like home." The hall fell silent, the weight of truth pressing down on everyone present. Henry saw his son's conviction and, for the first time, questioned his own judgment. The women, humiliated and furious, soon stormed out of the mansion, their designer heels echoing against the marble floors. That evening, Henry, humbled and shaken, invited Sophie to sit with him and Ethan at the dining table, a gesture that began to erase the invisible walls separating them. In the months that followed, Sophie's quiet strength and kindness brought warmth back to the Lawson home. Ethan laughed again, Henry softened, and the sterile mansion slowly transformed into a place of love. Ethan had chosen not a socialite, but a mother of the heart, proving that love is the only true wealth.